All right, so my name is Ryan Jorgensen, and we're coming out with another video today. This week, I'm actually doing a more podcast-style video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, great. If you're watching this on any of the other places where you can watch Spotify's or listen to, I guess, thank you for tuning in. This will be a great episode. Today, we have Ethan Weldon, a videographer for the University of Nebraska football creative staff. I've known him for, it's been like 6 years now, right? I think it's been 6 or 7. It's been a while.
It has. We're the OGs. BNN.
Yeah.
Gang.
Out of McKinney Boyd High School. He's at Nebraska. I'm at Oklahoma. We actually played each other this last year, which is pretty cool. If you people our Instagrams, you'll see those pictures there on Twitter. But yeah, so how you doing, dude?
Doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. It's been really good. Football's starting to work back up. I'm sure you're going through the recruiting process right now, and everything's probably pretty chaotic with the new coach. So
Yeah.
been there, done that. First thing I want to talk about is your role at Nebraska. Can you explain kind of what you do to anybody that might not know? Obviously, I'm your biggest fan, but for the people that might not watch your stuff or maybe haven't seen you before, or maybe just don't know exactly what you do, can you explain it?
Yeah, so I'm technically a student intern. I've worked in every multitude of the Nebraska creative or video production or broadcast space that we pretty much have. I started at Husker Vision, which is the broadcast division of our sports media that we have within the athletic department. And then I moved to what's called Corn Crib, which is kind of the overall digital media, force that we have, built of so many students and a great staff there. And then separately, there's an entire division just for the football team here, which we deal a lot with recruiting or just overall brand sort of representation or storytelling or player branding things, just a very in-depth sort of approach to it. So yeah, I've been all over here in Nebraska. I've been absolutely delighted to have met so many awesome people and worked with them and athletes, coaches, and had some pretty incredible experiences. So yeah, it's been great. That's kind of what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you can explain it a lot better than I could have. So that's great. But yeah, so I wanted to start things off here because you have a pretty unique role, not only with your football job obviously we all have a unique job, obviously, but you specifically this last semester have had a pretty cool internship at Nebraska through Adidas. And you correct me, like I said, you know this better than I do, so I don't want to falsely. Can you kind of explain what this Adidas internship you have is? Because you look like quite the influencer, dude. It's pretty sweet. I definitely have some FOMO. I'm trying to get Adidas to come over here and give me some shoes or some sponsors or whatever they're doing.
You're at Nike school, though. You got to be on that Nike stuff, right?
If Jordan wants to send me some stuff, hey, if Air Jordan wants to send me some, I will take it. I'll take whatever you guys send me because right now I've got nothing. I've got 3 Nike sweatshirts and I'd love some stuff. So, but no, we're talking about your Adidas internship here. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, so that was, I guess not even really an internship. It was under a contract.
Okay.
Basically, I got reached out to by a marketing company that was representing Adidas, and they work closely with the University of Nebraska, and depending on the different regions, they'll work with other schools that are sponsored by Adidas. So for me, they just came across my platform, which I don't necessarily have a big platform by any means, but I take care of it. I try and put out decent stuff, higher quality things, whether it be on a separate page for my work or just me being the camera guy, basically traveling or doing whatever. So they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to kind of do a semester long sort of I hate this word, but influencer sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it's a great word.
So yeah. So I was lucky enough to have, I guess, kind of a sponsorship in a way from Adidas. So I would basically make posts, and I kind of negotiated something where I would make some extra videos because I usually would be someone who is just kind of on the Nebraska campus, like a student who just has a good following and that sort of thing. But I said, hey, well, I'm a videographer. I make content. What if I made some extra videos and kind of put my little spin on it with what I do to make it more interesting and maybe generate more traction. So they said yes to that. So I made a couple of regular posts and stories and then some extra actually produced videos just this past semester, this fall semester. And yeah, it was a super cool opportunity. I almost thought it was fake when I first got the DM. I was like, there's no way they would want to
Yeah.
sponsor me.
I remember you
But
telling me that. I remember being like, I'm doing this thing, but it might be a scam. I don't know.
for real.
It seems too good to
Yeah,
be true.
yeah,
And
I
I
was
remember
nervous.
you like read me their email or whatever. I was like, bro, like that could be that might be suspect. Like,
Yeah, so the fact that they wanted to have a phone call with me, I was like, okay, that,
yeah,
or
that's
like a
more
Zoom
legit.
or whatever. I was like, okay, that might be, once I
I
talked
just
to them,
wanted to
obviously.
listen to you get ripped off. That was all.
Yeah, that would have been fun. Yeah, they were gonna record it and everything and just dunk on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really cool. It was I met some of the other people who were doing it. One of them was my past coworkers. Shout out Sydney. And then I met some ambassadors that they had on campus who were like running events in person. So I
Cool.
worked with them and was doing photography for the events and everything. So it was, yeah, really cool opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I remember you sending it to me that, and I was like, dude, like love Jordan, and Jordan's actually really cool. But I am an Adidas guy. I grew up playing soccer,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like that was my brand. So I saw that, and I was like, ah,
Absolutely.
the things I would do
they're
for
big soccer.
yeah, they're huge. So it was pretty cool. But speaking of stories and unique stories and videos and everything like that, you have a video that you wanted to talk about, or I asked you. Don't not Ethan didn't come to me saying I want to talk about this. I asked him if you have a video, and so you have this video here. Can you explain a little bit before we watch it? Can you explain like what's going on in this video that you wanted to watch today, or that I asked you to talk to me about?
Yeah, so I do work for Nebraska, but I also do a lot of freelance work outside of that, or I try to. And one of the unique things about being in Nebraska is the College World Series is based out of Omaha, which is just about 45, 50 minutes away from Lincoln, where I go to school. So they had a whole digital media team that they hire people from in the area, like a lot of Creighton people. Creighton, if you don't know, is in Omaha. So they hire a lot of full-timers there. And then luckily I got recommended to work it from my current boss at Nebraska. So he just kind of sent my name, and I was able to kind of take on basically like a role that a regular contractor would take on being a student. So a lot of people, when I got interviewed for it, they asked me, how did you get this internship? And it was actually like basically like I was a full-time employee. We worked like 12-hour days. Like it was a
Yeah.
full thing, I was taking the lead on edits and being a part of the team when it was filming and coordinating, media day shoots for the championship series. So yeah, this video specifically was the first edit of the championship series against OU and Ole Miss. So, this
Unfortunate.
might be kind of hard for Ryan to watch, but yeah,
Oh,
so this was a
had
cool
to relive
video.
some trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was Ole Miss was on fire, and
Yeah.
this video was an especially, I feel like, unique one just for me, because it was really cool to edit that style of game recap, and especially because of how this game went, because at the beginning things were really slow, sort of. It was just kind of like low scoring up until like the 6th or 7th inning, I think it was. And then out of nowhere, Ole Miss hit 3 back-to-back home runs. And it like the whole place just exploded, because the Ole Miss fans that were in this place was just, they filled the entire, field.
Yeah.
Like, so, so I'm live editing this video as the game is happening, because we're trying to get it out as the game is ending, basically, which is, extremely difficult, because we have
Yeah.
shooters down the first and third base line. Ryan, you're very familiar with this workflow, working the the softball World
Yeah,
Series.
no,
So
It's an adrenaline rush like no other. Like I think I was actually really relieved when you had this, which is kind of funny because it's definitely not torture. By no means is it like torture,
Yeah.
but it is very stressful and it's very like anxiety inducing. So it was kind of nice that you also had to go through it, because then we could relate on that and be like,
yes,
because it's the adrenaline rush is like comparable to being, it's like if you rode a roller coaster while you're editing. It's like I don't know, like, and I remember, and I'm sure maybe you can elaborate on this too, like finishing videos and just kind of like exporting it and just being like, did I even like breathe for the last like 30 minutes? Like, did I, like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Like, you just like, everything just goes blank and you're just like, holy crap. Like, but at the same time, then you look at it and you're like, holy, that's awesome. Like, you don't even, it's like you get to watch the video for the first time because you don't even remember making it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like creativity and storytelling in that form where it's, over the course of multiple minutes of content, like that's hard to do in general. And then when you're doing it in the span of a few hours as the game is happening and
Yeah, it's like
communicating.
live.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges was talking on the walkie-talkies, trying to keep my headphones on so I can hear what I'm making, and trying to hear the videographers on the first and third base sideline, or it was, I think we had 4 or 5 videographers all shooting at once, and it was like what? I'm sorry, what shot did you get? And it was just going back and forth, so stressful to try and manage these things with your time while still being like a storyteller and telling it in a unique and creative, emotional way and communicating the emotional truth of the game, because I feel like something that we don't talk a whole lot about is the struggle of trying to maintain, in those live events, those live sporting events, accurately representing what happens, because it can change so quickly.
Yeah.
So you could be in a complete flow of what you're making and telling the story of this game a certain way, and then all of a sudden it changes. How do you react?
Yep.
Because it's got to get done. It has to be done in 3 innings, and who knows how quickly those innings will happen. So this video specifically, when those 3 home runs were hit, I would just like panic. I was like, oh wow, like what do I do? And so in this video, you'll see I just clipped them all together, and it ended up working great. Yeah, because I was thinking, how do I spread this out, over the amount of time? And I just thought, the radio guy had a great call. He just he screamed like back to back to back, and it was perfect. So I just clipped each of those different hits to that call, and then just let the celebration of the fans kind of ride it out. And I feel like it ended up working pretty well. And we had great videographers shooting their absolute out of their minds. So I had tons of stuff to work with. But yeah, the College World Series especially was a pretty unique opportunity when it came to being under that kind of pressure while still telling the story.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I definitely can sympathize with you there. It's stressful, and you're in that situation where you have to put that content out. No matter if the video has to be posted, so it's like one of those things where it's kind of got to be good, or else someone's gonna be kind of mad at you. They might not say it, but they're gonna be like, "Come on, man." So it's like it's definitely, and it's so many like split-second decisions, where you're just sitting there and you're like, well, like you said, like there's those 3 home runs. Now the entire story's different. And so what you thought was gonna be, maybe you're making this video, it's the 6th inning, and there's nothing happened yet, and you're like, I guess it's a pitcher's duel video. I guess we're gonna use some pitcher's duel sound bites and stuff like that, and then 3 home runs are hit, and now it's a completely different video. The story is flipped, like you said, flipped on its head, and the story is so important to like actually making the video. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's so crucial. It's so important. So
yeah, it actually worked out kind of well, because it was like unexpected in a way, and to accurately represent that, you put it in the video in kind of an unexpected way. So it, like you'll see the way I cut it, I just hard cut it after this one pitching clip, and then just like smash back on screen with those hits, because that's what it felt like actually being there. It was like, whoa, like what? It was literally, I think it was like the 3 hitters came up and they all hit home runs, so it was so instantaneous. So I'm like, how do I even represent that?
how do you do that? Yeah.
So you just kind of make it the way it happened in real life, and that was the most accurate way to do that. So
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to watching it. I think I might have missed this, because I might have been just kind of moping in my sadness after watching that game. So I actually don't know if I've seen this video, so let's check it out.
Okay.
All right, so just watch the video. Awesome job by Ethan as always. So I mean, obviously, I clearly didn't watch that, because I would have remembered that video. I actually do think I would have. I really liked the picture effect that you did. Was that actually photos, or was that a video that you like clipped up?
Yeah, those were photos taken by one of our photographers from Creighton. She does great work. So yeah, she kind of ran those pictures down, and I think I don't remember how I I think it was like she thought they were really cool pictures, so she was like, "Hey, like guys, look at these aerial pictures," and I was like, "Wait, can I have those?" You know, like
Yeah,
because
like
I'm
I have
on
an idea.
right, like those photo bursts things are
Hmm.
kind of cool to throw in and show some appreciation for the great photos that they were. So um, yeah, I just kind of tossed those in there, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I like them a lot, so that's why I pointed that. And then obviously there's the three back-to-back home runs, and it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I wish I was an Ole Miss fan because I probably would have enjoyed it more. But no, it's pretty sweet. I mean, it's the call is so much. People don't give enough credit to audio, I don't think. And
Oh yeah,
creatives definitely like. I mean, the good creatives definitely get it, and the great ones that like do it, they understand it. But as people that are starting off, like from a student perspective, like people that are just now starting to finally get like good at like what we do. Um,
definitely.
I never understood the importance of audio until like this last year.
Oh yeah,
Um, so and never since then my videos have been elevated so much. And so I feel like for like videographers that are like starting to like learning or going through like the process of like figuring it out, sound design is just like so key. Like I never really like, and that's why like in that video, like for everyone that just watched that, like I mean the sound design is awesome, especially for like the circumstances you're in. Like it's good. It's just it really elevates it, and whether that's good calls or the sound effects they use for the shutter effect or even like the lens flares, anything like that. There's so many different dimensions of sound effects. I mean, you'll see some of these professional editors' timelines and just like get a headache
yeah.
by like how big they are, and how many layers there are. But it's so important. Like I don't know. Like as someone that's like learning, that's like whenever I'm talking to new students, it's the sound. The sound is so important for that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think about it like this, you know, when you watch a video, you you want to feel what you're watching. Like a big part of what makes
Yeah,
something
yeah,
feel like it's based in reality is that like if I drop my phone on my table right now, the vibration from me doing that, like I can physically feel that. So I feel like part of what makes a video feel grounded in reality, like it's right in front of you and you're watching it, and that guy, like who just had like a tomahawk dunk or something like that, that it's really happening. It makes I feel like it really authenticates it when the visuals correlate with the sound, because otherwise, it just kind of feels like it makes it feel more like a video and not
yeah,
like it's something that you really captured. So yeah,
yeah.
I think it's something I've absolutely needed time to learn as well because it can take some extra effort and it may not seem like it's gonna pay off, but it absolutely will.
Yeah, I agree with that. When I'm talking to people that I'm training at my work, I always kind of describe it as like 2D and 3D, which doesn't make sense really. Like it's
I
not
get it.
making it 3D, but it makes it 3D. Like it's like
Yeah.
two like a video when you watch a video with like just the music, it feels really flat. So like two-dimensional, right? So
Right.
it's like when you add these different layers and these different, it makes it feel like it's more of like, and you're in the atmosphere. It can help you engage you, whether it's natural sound, whether it's sound effects, whether it's like just anything that you add in, like just transition noises or anything that you need to use. Everything. I mean, you can definitely do too much, but I
Mhm.
think that once you find that balance, like, 'cause I remember when I first started doing it, I just put so much crap in, and it was just like so over like stimulating, like
Yeah.
like watching a video is like you get like the caffeine hit of like coffee, like it just like your ears would be like, what the heck just happened? But
Yeah.
finding like the middle ground, once you get there, it's like it's so nice. It's so satisfying when you just finish a video and you watch it and you're like, yes, like that was awesome.
It all comes together, and it's something
Yeah.
where I feel like the more you have of it is when you actually do want to have silence, the silence becomes louder because there is that
Yes.
presence
Yeah.
of the
Mhm.
ambience. So when you wanna put a solo light on someone, like a player running out at a big game or something like that, and they go to pray, in the end zone or something like that, it that's when the silence can speak louder is because you've had the ambience, you've had the naturalistic sound, and then when you want to really focus in on something or solo in on someone, then you can take it away, and the silence can become a tool when it wasn't.
Yeah. Exactly. No, you nailed that on the head. I mean, I'm I'm not even gonna try and like describe it anymore. 'Cause that's exactly right. Like you spot on. So this is something that I've been curious about because I've been experimenting clearly on different social media platforms, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I've been posting more and trying to match Ethan's influencer game. Um, and so I've been posting more on these different platforms. I was curious, like, what you think is the best platform for like sharing content, both for personal content and then also for team affiliated content.
Dang.
I just wanted to see your, because this is something that we've been kind of talking about at my work a little bit, like at Supervision, and then, but also just in general, like from a personal standpoint, I've been like experimenting with all these different platforms, trying to see which is the best for sharing video type content.
Yeah, I think for team related things, and I'll explain why Twitter is the best, because the circulation of information, because that's really what fans are wanting. They're wanting information about what's going on with the team, who's on signing day, who's being recruited, like who's the new coach. Twitter is a big place for people to find that stuff, and it can be in written form, it can be in graphics, it can be in videos. So for me, I see, at least with Nebraska fans, there's a large circulation of that community on Twitter. So when you place your content that's telling the story of the brand that they're trying to get information about, I think it pairs really well. So, even videos like my roommate and coworker Jordan just made a video of one of our professional like NFL guys coming back and meeting with our new head coach, Matt Rule. And, it wasn't a crazy video or anything, but it got like, I think nearly 100,000 views in like a day, like a day or 2 days.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just because I feel like it just was put in the right place. And I'm sure on Instagram it maybe did somewhere around 50 or 40, maybe more. But I think Twitter, because at the same time there were these tweets coming out from our Husker reporters, saying like Randy Gregory is in the house, he's coming to meet with the new head coach. And then when you pair that video right with that, it's a direct streamline for them to actually see these things that are being talked about. So, and then when it comes to personal stuff, I think it's got to be TikTok. TikTok has been a huge, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. It's, in everyone's, on everyone's vision, basically, like everyone knows about it. But I think it allows people to tell their story very easily, because they're, it kind of has become a place for quick hitting short form content, but also some like longer things, like where people can tell stories and sort of fit into trends, but also break out of them in ways and still be successful. So it's a platform that I spend way too much time on when I have it.
Yep.
So I honestly have it deleted a lot of the time. So, I'm not too familiar with what goes on, but when I am on there, it seems like it's a good place to kind of show behind the scenes sort of things. Like people want to see how you do a certain thing. Like there's a good guy, he messes a lot with Reels. He has seen more success with Reels just because he already had a platform like very solidified. But Noah the Boa, I think is how you say his name.
I think I follow him.
Yeah, I mean, he does like fantastic work at Tennessee, and he's done a lot of that short form, kind of like introducing people who don't know about what we do to what we do, and showing, hey, that's me on the sideline. Aren't you kind of curious what the shot I got looks like? And people have loved
check
it.
it out.
Dude, he's gained like 38,000 followers, since he's been doing it on Instagram.
TikTok and Instagram not so much, because I already went on Instagram, but I've been I mean, no one really, maybe people that are watching this know me. If you're this far into the video too, I mean, you're probably a creative or you're crazy. And so for those that, I downloaded TikTok 2 weeks ago. I was always like annoying and didn't really want it. I didn't want to download it. I was just like, I don't know. For that one. And so I downloaded it recently because I've been trying to grow my personal brand, which is part of this podcast. And so I downloaded it to post this content and show what I've been doing, and it's been great. I've gotten really good engagement from it. Even with like the 30 followers that I have, I'm still getting upwards of 200 views a video that I make. which isn't as good as my Instagram, but I'm sure it'll get there as I build it up. But I say I let them to point out that these content that these guys are making, like there's so many people on TikTok that have crazy amounts of followers that you're like, what? Like there was a guy I trained in my work, shout out Carson. Dude has like 100,000 followers on TikTok.
That's crazy.
And like I got a TikTok, I went on, and he like commented on my video. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'll shoot Carson a follow. I go on his account. Dude's like low key TikTok famous.
And that's
I was like, what the hell? Like I haven't talked to him about it yet. So Carson, if you're watching this, sorry, it's just kind of funny. I was like, damn, like okay, dude, like. And then like this other girl I work with, like Alexis, like I trained her a couple years ago, and shout out Alexis also, another coworker of mine. She got like 40,000 followers on TikTok. I'm like, bro, I'm like working with these people, and they have like 40,000 people that are following them on an app. Like I don't know, as someone that's like that's crazy to me. But I still think it's more crazy to me than the fact that I produce content for like our football account, which has like 500,000 followers. That's the individual people having 30,000 followers is crazier to me than a sports team having that many. You know what I mean? Like that's for me what's crazy. Like I'm like, how does this happen? And she had like one video that had like 4.4 million views or something like that. It's like
happen?
So that's apparently my buddy was telling me, he's in this class. He was saying apparently, according to his social media marketing professor, 5 million views on a post is considered viral now. If a post gets 5 million views, it's viral. I think that's to be like up to interpretation. Like it depends on what it's on. There's a whole bunch of, but I'm like using that train of thought. She went almost viral. Like she like that's crazy. Like that.
I think that number should be way lower. I think there's videos
but just even for that, I was like, holy crap! Like what? Like I see you like every day. Like that's just weird to me. Like it's like.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's really cool because I had no idea. And now I'm like opening this new world. I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is so interesting to me. So it's been great because anyone that knows me knows that I was like anti TikTok. Like I was like, this is stupid. I appreciated like what it was doing for like creatives and what it was doing for brands, but I just didn't like some of the other parts of TikTok. But now that I'm on it, I'm starting to kind of be like, okay, like this is cool. Like my feed is now personalized, so like all of my feed is just FPV drone videos. It's awesome.
Yeah, it'll learn you. No
and
doubt.
Snowboarding. I'm going on spring break in New Mexico. I'm going snowboarding, and it's like giving me all these videos on how to learn how to snowboard.
I get a good amount of those.
Of course,
too,
I'm watching them. Yeah, I'm like, now I'm gonna go there. I'll be like, all right, well, I gotta lean uphill. Like I'm kind of like, now I know.
Yeah. It's got a decent amount of like kind of information available, like things that you would want to learn.
I mean, I've saved so much stuff. That was an effect that I saved. I'm gonna use probably my first video next year, somewhere around there. There's a couple of effects that I've been like, I'm keeping them in my back pocket for next year. Which is great because I'm not trying to like. I feel like now that we know so much about Premiere and After Effects, all these different platforms, like I don't really want to sit through a 10-minute long video of this guy explaining an effect. Like, all you need to tell me is like, what's the effect that I need to use and like how does it work? And like 3-minute video is fine. Obviously, like I'm talking about YouTube primarily is the platform I'm talking about. We're getting these tutorials from, but TikTok is great because it's usually pretty quick. So I've been enjoying that quite a bit. Yeah, that's really. I agree with you. I think TikTok definitely for like creatives or people that are trying to build their brand is definitely the platform for it. It's also really friendly for like posting consistently. Like it's really like. On TikTok, I feel like it's more normal for someone that has a personal, professional, blended account to post more often than like if you were to post on Instagram like every day.
Yeah, Instagram has fallen way behind, I think. Just with the time that's spent on the platform itself. And it's something where, I think we talked about this in one of my advertising classes, is that so many businesses put so much money into Instagram and don't get much out because it's just kind of been the staple platform for a long time. Like people have recognized it as kind of like the social media platform. But since the emergence of, Twitter has been growing a lot, and then once TikTok came out, Instagram got absolutely.
I mean, TikTok is like, it's crazy. I mean, like you see like stuff that brands are doing on TikTok, like Duolingo. Like Duolingo is on my For You page a lot. Like they're doing it right. Like even like some of the stuff like they kind of like got they didn't get canceled. They definitely didn't get, but like they got kind of in trouble for like doing that Pfizer thing, like where they like did the Pfizer meme.
No, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah. But like that wasn't even that was just a lawsuit. Like they just got sued, I think. But like
that.
brands do. I mean, I guess maybe that's not the best example for that, but overall, brands taking advantage of like this new like platform. Because I saw Mr. Beast comment on something like it was a Super Bowl commercials on average are costing like $7 million this year for a 30-second time slot. And then for like, and it was like for like I think it was 100 million people are gonna watch this, and then like Mr. Beast like subtweeted saying like, if you want to give me $7 million, I guarantee you 100 million people will see your ad.
Yeah,
Which is like such a flex, but also like it's true. Like you could bet, like he was like, shoot, I'll do that for way less. Like you want to give me like 4 mil and I'll do like, but it's like that's so interesting. Like the way it's changing, media is changing so much, even right now. Like as like where we are as we are coming up as students, from when we were freshmen to when we graduate college, it will be completely different.
Yeah.
Like everything will change. Like how it's in general, how everything will have changed.
Yeah,
I'm just so interesting.
It is. Yeah, it's like that's funny. Mr. Beast is like, I can guarantee you 100 million 4-year-olds will see your ad.
Yeah, yeah, that was a comment saying like, okay, but like they can't buy anything.
Yeah, and they'll go ask their parents if they can buy one. I'm so like, yeah. I mean,
But,
it has changed so much. It's crazy. That's why like I've been a little bit frustrated with some of the classes that I've taken at school with how
definitely
outdated
there
they feel. But it's like how could they even have curriculum that's been
like
tested and approved within that amount of time?
So talking about things that are kind of like changing over time and like have definitely changed. I think this has changed since this is something that I've noticed has changed. We've been debating this a lot of my work. Darren, if you're watching this, which Darren, if you've watched this far into my video, you need to go like do something else, dude. Like Darren and I have been giving each other shit like for the last like week or two. Like it's been, or not week or two. It's been all year. But Darren and I have been talking about this a lot. The vertical or horizontal video content and when to use what, if you should even use one of them. And so I kind of wanted to bring this up because we debated this like for like 4 hours the other day, like throughout the day. We did not 4 hours straight, but like we debated it for literally like 4 hours in a day. And it wasn't like going back. Like I don't really have a side. Neither of us really like think. I'd say he probably leans more horizontal. I might actually have him, if he wants to, come on like later down the road and like make a YouTube video of me doing this, talking about it. But I do wanted to for like his perspective because I think he has an interesting take on it. I wanted to get your take on what you think about horizontal, vertical, just kind of like what you think about it in general, and then maybe like how it works for like social, and how it works like is one better than the other for certain platforms. Obviously, there's obvious answers for that for some of them, but then like just in general, like what do you think about it? Like, what do you prefer, horizontal? Do you prefer vertical?
Yeah, I mean, social media is really unforgiving. I feel like you're gonna play by the rules or you're gonna get left behind. So in that case, vertical is obviously it's the best fitting format for like mobile content or social media content in most ways. But I mean that's not how we shoot. It's been
exactly
as of recently a big
because that's what we were
challenge
talking about. It's like we were talking about what I was shooting, and I went to film a move-in for our women's soccer team. We had 3 players moving in, and I was like, and Madison, shout out Madison, one of our full-time producers at Sooner Vision, she was like, hey, when you're done, can you make this video? And I was like, all right, cool. What's the aspect ratio for that? Just so I know. She was like 9:16. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, in my head, I was like, should I shoot this vertically? It's like, because I'm going to make a vertical video, and we don't really use this footage for anything else. And so I was like, maybe I should have vertically. And I ended up not doing that, which is smart because I think the general consensus is don't film vertically.
Right.
But it was kind of, it proposed an interesting thought process in my head, which is if you're only going to use this footage for vertical content, why wouldn't you shoot vertically? It's definitely like, I don't know. For me, what I've kind of talked myself into is I want it because I want to use it on my reel. Like, what if one of these shots is good and I want to use it on my reel, and now the vertical and I can't use it?
Right. Yeah, I mean,
because I'm not making a vertical reel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I don't think we're there quite yet. Although there were a couple vertical reels this last reel season. There were a couple that I saw, It was
That's
interesting. So maybe that's the next thing that's gonna happen. But for the time I'm in college, I will not be making a vertical reel.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Clip
we're
that
gonna
now. In 2 years, I'm going to. But
we're gonna become old heads at this point. We're gonna be like, hey,
well, I
back
already
right
think I
there,
have an
he's
old
just
head on this.
yeah, like we're gonna be the I like the horizontal advocators, but
Yeah,
it's
seriously.
something that's been on my mind recently, and I think there's kind of a an answer to this that might be controversial, but I feel like, okay, if you have content that is going on a platform that is going to favor vertically filmed sort of content, um, film it with your iPhone. Like, and
Yeah.
I guess that might sound weird, but look at 95% of what you look through on TikTok, Instagram Reels, like, even
It's
Twitter.
all. Yeah.
It's iPhone filmed. People recognize that. People are smart, like their eyes can recognize when something looks familiar to them. And I feel like when it comes to iPhone video, why go through the struggle of trying to, like make an edit or shoot something the way you don't really want to shoot it for a video that might not even get that well of interaction because the format that you're shooting it on isn't best fit for that kind of content. So,
Yeah.
like it just seems like, I feel like sometimes us as creatives, we overthink, and I'm guilty of this a ton. We've had to do a lot of videos like this, is filming videos that are just like overproduced, for something that is
Yeah.
kind of like a small part of the bigger brand or the story that's going on, like a team arrival or something like that. It's depending on how you're doing it, it's like maybe just film it as if you're a fan, because people recognize that, and I feel like it feels more relatable,
Yeah.
and then save the shots that you get with your high quality camera for a big storytelling project, like a big storytelling video that gets really intense, and more
Okay.
kind of in depth. And I feel like when you save that kind of stuff for those kinds of videos, when that kind of video pops up on someone's feed, they're gonna go, hold on, what's this? This seems like kind of a more cinematic style. Like, now it has my attention. But when you're scrolling through and that's all you see, it becomes hard to differentiate what is one of those longer storytelling videos and what's just, like a player arrival, or like we're on the scene at Memorial Stadium or whatever. So that's been something that I've been thinking about. So I'm glad we're talking about it, because I would be interested to see what other people, more qualified people, would think, and if they've seen success with that, and how they're approaching it, because it's a big struggle. I know for a lot of videographers, I have a friend who works for an NBA team, and they just started shooting vertically, and he just set up his computer, like he rotated it and set it on the table.
Oh,
so
I think I
watch.
might have seen that on Twitter. Yeah.
yeah. So it was just funny to watch him be like, how am I supposed to edit this? And
Yeah.
I get his side of it, but also it's like, we gotta adapt. We have to adapt to these platforms and what they want to see in these audiences. So yeah, it's an interesting thing right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I like that you were talking about like the differentiating between the different types of content, because I think when it comes to aspect ratios, that kind of like we're talking about sound, aspect ratio can be a huge tool if you use it right. This is what I've been I talked about it a little bit in my last video that I made, talking about when I was breaking down that season opening video I made. When you're doing certain kinds of the quicker content, I always feel like I was talking about this, and this is what I was talking about there in a little bit, is the quicker the content you have is, I feel like it almost like shrinks.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to have a longer piece of social media, you might have like a wider, like you're going to have a wider aspect ratio. Like if you're making a game scene setter, like it's going to be wide, like not even 9 by 16, like or 16 by 9. Jeez. Now my brain is all backwards. Not even like 16 by 9. Like I'm saying like wide, like we got some black bars in there. Like we're going wide. Like that's because that's what we would do for our like bigger games. I did that. And then for games in between where it was like, like we're playing Kansas this week. We just went with 4x5, which 4x5 I think is my favorite aspect ratio right now.
Yeah.
Just because it's kind of like in between, like it's not fully vertical, but it still works on the feed. When Twitter was not being weird with their cropping thing, it worked good on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then with Instagram, it'll always work. I think it looks better than 9:16 on Instagram because I feel like it fits
Yeah.
the feed better. Um,
Yeah.
so 4:5 is definitely my favorite. And I think that's a good blend. That works for iPhone video. It works for camera video. It's kind of just a good in between. But like you were saying, when there's bigger cinematic videos, it feels like that always kind of needs to be horizontal, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't, I mean, I can't, I'm not expecting Ohio State or even us or like another like school that's like traditionally thought of when you think of like the schools that are producing like incredible content like consistently.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect the scenes that are video from them to be 9:16 anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. I don't
And
think their audience is either.
yeah, but that's where what do you think about like, I know I've seen a couple times already with people doing their reels, people posting reels and just making them sideways.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. Just trying to fit the format and to
What would you think about like a
better.
professional team or like a college team doing that? Do you think that would be weird? Or do you
I
think that
think
would be,
I think it would kind of be like, I don't know, because it would definitely be more like it's gonna take up more of the screen, especially on Instagram. Instagram is the worst about that, because you can't even, you
yeah.
have to like click it like 3 different times to try and get it to go to full screen.
Mhm.
I feel like this is not really a natural thing for people to do. I've caught myself plenty of times watching horizontal videos like vertically,
No, yeah,
and
I was doing that earlier today. Like, and I'm
yeah,
like, what am I doing?
yeah, right. Like you gotta flip
And
it,
you're just holding it like this in front of your face, like just like 'cause it's tiny.
Right, exactly. So it's like, yeah, I could understand why someone would still want to fit that, but at the same time, just it's so ingrained in us as a part of like, even just cinema and storytelling in general, whether it be movies or music videos or, documentaries, they're all in that format. So I feel
Yeah,
like it fits a lot more, um, like it's more recognizable in that way. So I feel like if a team did that kind of video, um, like in that kind of aspect ratio, I think it would be a little bit off-putting to me. But this is something I've seen that's kind of been popping off a lot recently, is people putting videos that they've captured, like moments where athletes are kind of alone or in their zone, or they make a play, and they'll use a sound and just basically put that clip on slow-mo and just let the sound play, and it'll be something kind of stoic or cinematic, a guy like narrating it, and that stuff does super well. So in some ways, there are some of those still serious toned kind of trends or moods
yeah,
that can still fit that way for sure. But yeah, for some of those like originally told stories where it's not using a sound, it's like, this is my song, I picked this, this narration. I feel like it might still be best to put it in that aspect ratio.
yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's pretty. I think everyone, the problem at OU, like we've been kind of experimenting with it. With Trey Acosta, who's someone I'm definitely gonna have on here down the road. Trey, if you're watching this, shout out you. You've been killing it with women's basketball all year, and now I'm gonna talk about it.
100%.
Dude's been making a difference with the women's basketball content. He's been killing it. Him and Madison both just absolutely nailing that. And one of the things that he's been doing is he's posting all vertical game recaps. Every game recap is vertical. They have,
Oh yeah.
which has been really interesting. And I've talked to him about it a little bit, but we usually get dinner like twice or 3 times a semester. We haven't gotten dinner yet this semester because that's usually when I kind of grill him about this kind of thing. Is I'm really curious of how that's done compared to last year, because we talk about from the creative side. This is like where I talked to Theron. Is Theron's like, I think I don't want to put words in his mouth. But from what I understood, his main problem with vertical is that it kind of gets rid of a lot of the creative elements of like shooting horizontally, like cinematic wise. But from a performance standpoint, I feel like vertical video just does better.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's much debating that. I think, especially after like the test that I've done, comparing my like reels, which a reel is a pretty big piece of content, to just like, clip that I post on Instagram. It's like my reel gets like 500 views, and then a clip I post on Instagram vertically gets like 3,000.
Right.
And if you look at like, I have like 75% of the people that watch that video don't follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't even imagine what that must be like for an official team account. Like,
Yeah.
so it's really interesting. So from a standpoint of actually just trying to get more engagement, I feel like reels and vertical content is 100% the way to go.
Yeah.
But creatively is really when I think it starts to be like, okay, well, what do I want to do here? If it's quicker, like if it's like if you got some rap going, like and you're doing like a quicker, then maybe 4x5. But definitely cinematic. I still think the wider ratio is the way to go. But
Yeah, I agree.
it was interesting. I'm curious to see how the basketball reels did compared to last year's. Like if they, I'm sure they can pull that up. I don't even know if they've looked at it, but I'd be curious to see if they have because I would assume it's doing way better. I'd assume they've probably like tripled or quadrupled their numbers. And they even like School Sparks or School Sparks, right? They just put out
Mhm.
like they've I think they're like over like 200% like their engagement this year or like something crazy like that. Like they're second in the country for like most added engagement. I saw that the other day. I don't remember it exactly, but it was pretty crazy and they were pretty stoked about that. So I
Yeah.
have to ask him about that. I'll have to talk to him about it when it's on the show, but I'm glad to get your take on that because that's something that's really been like on my mind a lot as I'm trying to produce content personally, but also putting out stuff for like our players in the off season and stuff like that, and just quick clips and stuff like that. So it's really
Same
good.
here.
All right. So moving on from that, what do you think about the state of the current creative industry?
Yeah, I mean, currently it's I think a definitely growing space. It's getting a lot more attention than I feel like it used to. Maybe this is just based on what I've heard from my bosses, and it's like when you really look at it, it's kind of like under a decade old of an industry.
Yeah. No, it is.
It's like it literally is. And it's crazy because it's so new. It is so new, and it's in a lot of ways we're still trying to kind of get our grounding about what it all is and where we find our role in that. But I mean, what I've been able to learn about it up until now is that for anyone looking to get into it is you got to love it. You have to love what you're doing because you will work hard to if you want to be making good stuff and be
Yeah.
potentially successful. And you got to take pride in what you do because a lot of it is you're not only representing yourself but you're representing a team. It's the athletes on that team, the coaches. So you have to take pride in it and buy into the team that you're with because that's going to help motivate you to get to know these people and tell their stories accurately and understand the sport that you're doing it within. And make sure to take breaks for yourself because it is grueling. It's not an easy industry to work in, but it can be so rewarding in so many different ways. Whether it be just fun, it's one of the most fun jobs, I would say. Like some of the things
Yeah.
you get to
100%.
do. Like I've been doing this for how many years? Like 3, maybe 4 years. Some of the stuff I've been able to do is unreal,
You never think that you'd have the opportunity to do this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, and I wasn't even a sports guy. I really haven't been able to fully appreciate what I've been able to do because I haven't even been into sports that long. I was like, a dumb teenager trying to be cool and thinking I was all that, not being into sports. But now that I've really come to appreciate it, some of the things I've been able to do are just, really cool. So, yeah, currently it's, kind of, I feel like in a transitional phase where people are starting to get a little bit upset with, how things have been going, just at certain places, people aren't enjoying their experience there. So I'm glad that they're trying to kind of earn the respect that they feel like they deserve. Sometimes I feel like people don't do that maybe in the best way and get a little emotional, but I understand that can happen
Yeah.
sometimes because, you're trying to stand up for yourself. So I understand that. But, as a student, I've just been putting my head down. I don't, I'm just trying to do my job and earn my stripes
Yeah.
sort of thing. So I haven't been in too many positions where I feel like I needed to do that. Cause I'm hungry. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do the dirty work kind of thing. So yeah, but for people in some of those full-time positions, just from what I can tell, there is a little bit of frustration there and talking about being overworked and underpaid and underappreciated at times. And I feel like, if there are coaches that can just take note of some of these smaller things, or just staff members in general that they're working with to just show your, as much appreciation as you can. I feel like that would take so much, it would be so beneficial to these people that feel like these creatives that feel like they're struggling. And because, you know, they put a lot of themselves into their work. Like they feel like it's an extension of themselves. It's your ideas, it's your vision, your perspective. So, you know, it feels very personal. So whenever, you know, if a coach or whoever could just be, you know, maybe a little extra appreciative or just complimentary about those things, I feel like that would be, you know, they would really appreciate that and it would help a lot. So, you know, it is it's a crazy industry right now. It's sports, anything in sports is gonna be that way.
Yeah.
Just
Always.
specifically
Yeah.
this one because it's like the newest part of the sports industry. So
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
It's exciting as someone like I said, like you said, and like I've been I want to like keep emphasizing throughout this part of the like for this like a show, I guess. I don't even know. Like I as a student, like it's so interesting because we haven't really we've done a lot, but in the grand scale of things, we haven't done too much yet. We're still
Yeah.
very new and very much in our infancy of creating and learning and all these different things. Like, should I learn like what an f-stop was like 2 years ago? And like,
Right.
I bet you like 2 years from now, I'm gonna watch this video and be like, "What the hell are you doing, Ryan?" Um, and so, it's very interesting from our perspective where we're still learning so much and we're kind of looking up at this giant world of like creatives and these people that we see on Twitter and these different sports programs, putting out different content and all the different ways that everyone's doing everything. And it's all so new. And we're
Mhm.
about to kind of being juniors in college, you and I, we're about to, in a year and a half, we're going to be stepping off the boat and like kind of like experiencing it and doing all this full time as our jobs, hopefully. Um, and so it's really interesting kind of like from our perspective where it's just, we're all kind of wide eyed, like, oh my goodness. Like, and we hear things, and you hear good things and you hear bad things. It's the same with everything. I mean, any industry you go into, people are going to be like, look, like it's harder than you think. And yeah, like no shit. Like obvious. Like it's you have to put your work in. There's a but and creative and sports creative industry as a whole where it's so new that there's not really there's not a union. There's not like where maybe there should be a union. Like there like like it's such a new industry where people get overworked and people get underpaid and you really kind of have to be the best at what you do to really kind of get any kind of money. And even then, it might not be that much money is like, because it's so not like, we have no idea how much certain individuals that you and I might think of as when we think of like the top people of this industry make. And it's not about the money, but yeah, we're about to be, we're college students. We have to think about your future. And so it is interesting. But I do think, with that being said, that considering these jobs that we are applying for in the next year and a half didn't exist, maybe even like 7 years ago, I feel like there's a huge shift in all of that. I think the creative pool, I think people that want to be creatives, I think if you're interested in it, now is the time to actually do it. Because I think in 20 years from now, it's gonna be I feel like it's only more and more people wanting to be it. The point, and there's only so many people you can hire. But I think right now where we're at is the perfect time to get in. From my college junior brain thinking, for anyone that is looking at me right now laughing. But like I feel from the outside looking in, it feels like the industry is only expanding, and it feels like programs and networks and all these people are realizing the power of these different platforms and realizing that if you invest in these people, that your marketing, your engagement will be better. And there are direct correlations to hiring people that know what they're doing, that are creative, and using them to produce and market yourself better, and setting up brands and just everything. So hopefully I'm right and the pay gets better and everything works out and people will learn to invest in their creatives. But it's scary as a student because it's what we love to do and you can't control what you love to do. And it's like, I'm over here, I'm a business minor. So I'm in these classes, I'm in an MIS class, management information system class right now. And not to toot my own horn, but I've been pretty good at it. And I'm doing this and I'm talking to my buddy who's like an accounting major. And he's like, dude, like MIS people, like they graduate college and like most people have like almost 6-figure salary job, like right out the bat. And I'm like, you're telling me I could do this that I'm doing right now? It's super easy and make probably triple what I'm going to make out of college. And it is pretty disheartening because like, man, like I would be working more doing our creative job than I would doing this other job. And this other job's easier, but I would get paid way more in the long run. So it's definitely a weird thing to think about. I'm not going to be an MIS major. I'm not switching because I've committed too much. I'm too far in. But also, I love this. Like, I love the grind, and I love that someday I feel like we're going to be the people that are on that. I like to think that we're going to be not necessarily trailblazers because there's people in front of us, but I like to think that we're going to be the next generation of people that really come through. And 20, 30 years from now, I can look back and be like, damn, I'm glad I did that. So, but it is really interesting to see where everything is and like just kind of seeing where the industry is right now and how every year someone comes out with something that's awesome and everyone like it's just a cool community, and it's a cool community. Like there's definitely like people in it that sometimes are like, okay, buddy, like what are you doing? But like for the most part, everyone is so supportive and everyone gets it. It's a group of people that all have kind of like gone through like a fraternity of these people that have all done the same thing, that have all all been up at 4 a.m. editing a video, that have all spent every day of every hour of every week at the office of work at some point, that have like been there for when their team lost a game on the road and have had to fly back and coach with the guy that makes $8 million. And like, it's a weird job, but that's what's so great about it. It's such a weird job that no one else gets to do besides us. And it's cool that we get to be there and show other people what we're doing and what they get to see and get to control that. So it is really interesting.
Yeah. It's such a unique, job where you can literally hold up your computer or your phone and say, this is what I do, there's so many industries where people are like, well, I manage this and I build these systems for a company or whatever. And, it's can be kind of hard to communicate, but we can literally just go watch that. Watch.
Yeah, no, that's like the coolest I think I've ever felt is I met someone in one of my classes, and my videos that I make for football during the season come out on Fridays. And I met someone in like a class, like I got put in a group with them and we were just talking, like, and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I do sports videography. Like I do that. And they're like, oh, like, kind of like how I seen any of the things you made? And I was like, well, do you follow the football account? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, did you see the video they posted like 2 hours ago? And they're like, yeah, I watched that. And I was like, I made that. Like, I made that video you watched. Like, and they were like, really?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Or like, even like, this is an even funnier story. And this is kind of like Ryan Jorgensen After Dark kind of thing. But I was at the bars with my parents when they were in town for Parents Weekend. And this, like, my mom, like, made a friend. Like, she became friends with someone, like, there. Like, that was, like, another mom. Because it's Parents Weekend, so they're all a bunch of moms. And they're, like, talking at, like, these benches outside of this bar called Nompton and Norman. Because it's, like, packed shoulder to shoulder inside. And my parents were like, nah, like, we don't mess with that. So, like, outside, like, these, like, picnic benches. And my mom, like, calls me over. And she's like, Ryan. And she, like, introduced me to this mom. Because a lot of OU fans have followed me on Twitter ever since I've, like, started making stuff. And, like, people shouting me out, X, Y, and Z. Like, so... And she followed me on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I think I've had some stuff like that happen before too.
Yeah, where she's like, I follow you. And I was like, what? Like, what the heck? Like, that's so cool. Like, weird experience when you're at a bar with your parents and like it's Parents Weekend and, you're drunk. But also like pretty funny because I was like, it was cool. Like, it's like, that's a job that besides like professional athletes and like influencers, like no one gets to have that like that experience, and it's a cool, weird, very ego inflating. And that's a bit like it's like I have to like remind myself every day that like it's like Ryan, like especially when you come out with a video that's like a banger and people are like loving it. It's like, all right, dude, like chill out. Like I need to like remind myself that I'm not the absolute shit. But
yeah,
it's very like sometimes you see that and it's like social media can be so like blinding sometimes with that, and it's like it's pretty weird. It's very interesting. But it's a cool part of the job is when stuff like that happens and you're like, wow, like, and that's something you don't even think of. Like, I never even fathomed that when I started making videos for OU or doing with that. Like, I never thought that I'd run into someone that like had seen it before. But then like we got places like Gondola where you can see how like I have 4.6 million views, I think, because I checked it earlier today, which is like the population of Hawaii. Like it's more than the population of Hawaii. Like,
yeah.
So you take like an entire state and you're like, we're like walking on campus. It's like a video gets 50,000 views. It's like, wow, like every person here has probably seen a video that I've made.
Yeah.
And that's so jarring to think about.
Yeah, it's a unique feeling. Absolutely. I've been so, like, whenever someone would say that they've seen my work, I'm just like, man, like, thank you. Like that, the fact
Yeah,
that
seriously, it's like,
you took your time to like watch something that I actually put like genuine hours into is,
yeah,
it's so cool. I just want to, I'm
people
like,
like it. And it's like
yeah,
engaging, and like they're like, yeah, I like this, or like goosebumps, whatever. It's like it makes you just like, yes, that's what I wanted you to. I wanted you to feel that way. It's like
yeah,
it's like it's so satisfying. So it's really cool. So
absolutely.
talking about that and like things that are satisfying, yes, like leading to this next thing, I wanted to ask you because I think we talked about this a little while ago, but we didn't get super into it too much. I wanted to know what would be your like dream creative position? Like what's your goal with your career, or what's like where do you want to be like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Like what do you want to do? Do you know what you want to do? Do you have like an actual like is there a team that you're like, this is where I want to work? Or is it kind of just like I want to work, I want to do this and then I want to do this and then maybe I want to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to definitely kind of like work my way through things, um, like up the ladder, so to speak, because
Yeah.
I want to definitely, I feel like my best strengths lie in video. So if I could become in some capacity, maybe with a certain brand, like the director of specifically video, and then do that for a while, maybe for, professional team. Um, one of my favorite ones is the Mavs, or maybe, like the Cowboys, just because I love Dallas specifically and the culture surrounding those teams. Um, so those would be really cool ones to work with. But, I really do. I love working with people. I love leadership, and I want to learn more about it. So at some point, if I could be, have a huge portfolio of things that I've done, and teams I've been a part of, and then eventually come into a position where I'm leading a team and just kind of directing really talented people. I think that would be probably, as I get much older, would be my
Yeah, like a career goal.
right, like down the line, or maybe even with a production company, like, for
Yeah.
example, Let It Fly or Fresh Tape Media. They still do really, exciting work, and it's super cool what they're making. But there's definitely a more, I would say, structured business side to what they do, which I
Yeah,
really
for
appreciate.
sure.
And, especially from a financial standpoint, you're probably in a better position to be negotiating things with the people you're working with or the brands, which is obviously going to help you out more. So, down the line, something with, a company like that would be really cool, because it's, I feel like when you have more control over the actual business of what you're doing and being more involved with that, the ceiling just exponentially grows.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. No, and that's really interesting because I think I'm in a similar boat as you with where I want to end up. And we had never really talked about that before, which is crazy because we've been friends for like so long.
Yeah.
But it's like, but yeah. So kind of bouncing off of that to more of a nearsighted thing. Like, do you have anything that you're super excited about in 2023 creatively? Like, do you have any projects lined up at the moment that you're excited about? If you can't talk about something, then obviously don't. But like if there's anything like any, and I'm talking about like fall and spring here. So like anything this year that you're excited about, like I'd love to hear about it. I'm sure everyone else would too.
Yeah, I just recently, or I guess right now, I'm making a transition from working with the overall creative team, Corn Crib, to Nebraska football specifically, which I feel like, based on the description, I'm going to be taking on kind of a role when it comes to recruiting and that sort of thing. So, with this new staff that we have in Nebraska football, I've just been watching the press conferences. I've only been in the office a handful of times, but even talking with the people I have and watching these press conferences and interviews, especially with our head coach, I just, you know, I, I really like absorbing that kind of leadership from people, and, learning about their philosophy and building a team, because at this level, it is so difficult to do something like that successfully when so many people are trying to beat you from different teams that just have incredible rosters and they're super well
Yeah.
coached. So, and going from a team that doesn't, hasn't seen a lot of success, how do you get them to produce results? How do you change things? How do you coach them? How do you make them feel like a team? So, part of what's really cool about the sports industry is I feel like as a part of a team, being in your role, you can buy into that culture. You can adopt that mentality. And that's kind of, as I've been prepping to start this new job, I'm waking up at 4:45 in the morning tomorrow to get up for practice. It starts at 6 a.m.
Yep, familiar with that.
Right. Like that's going to be kind of a rude awakening that at that, when that alarm goes off, it's
really just lose sight. Here we go.
Right.
It is just like, I guess I got to do this. But it's all, like you said, it's like our job as creatives is to show people what they can't see.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a brand instructing us, show people what the brand wants people to see. But also at the same time, our job is to generate excitement right now as creatives. With whether it's for you for recruitment, generating recruits excitement and getting them wanting to come to Nebraska, whether it's my job primarily with social, where it's getting fans just excited about our year and hopefully making them forget that we went 6-5 last year or 6-6 last year, or whatever our end up record. I think we actually ended up having 6-7, which is even worse. But making fans forget about that and being like, oh look, here's our new quarterback. Oh look, like they're lifting. Yeah, like look, it's Coach Schmidt. You guys like him. Like posting things that fans like so that they kind of get excited about it again. And it's really empowering, and it's really important that you do that right, because if you don't, then fans are going to be like, so you guys have been doing nothing? Like if you don't post anything, they're not going to, it's kind of like the expression that people always joke about. It's like, if you didn't post it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a joke, but at the same time, if we hadn't posted anything on Instagram in the last 4 weeks, people would be going absolutely ballistic right now. And they would think our program is an absolute disaster.
Right.
We could have done nothing differently. Everything could be the same. Everything could be great. Everything would be fine. But if we haven't if we just been ghost for like 3 months, like the season ends and we just didn't post anything until the season started, people would be losing their absolute minds. And they would think that we're probably going to have one of the worst seasons ever, because they haven't seen us we haven't done anything. There'd be like 6 people that'd be like, oh no, they're working in the dark. Like, don't worry, guys. That'd be it. Like,
right.
It's so important that we show people what is happening, and show people so that they can get excited, and that people will buy season tickets, and that people will do all these different things so that the university can generate money. It's such an underrated thing that I don't think they think about until you break it down like that, and you're like, oh crap, like we do need to post twice a week, or we do need to do this, or else people are going to think that, like, if you posted 4 times a week or 5 times a week every week for 6 weeks, and then 1 week you just didn't post, people will be like, did they skip workouts? Like, what's going on? Like, why didn't they post this week? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
People read into it. They don't read into it that much, but they read into it more than I think people think they do.
Yeah.
Maybe if they don't even realize, maybe the fans themselves don't even realize that they're, like, I guess, interpreting it the way they are.
Yeah.
There is a
subconsciously
thing that's happening. Yeah, subconsciously, I think fans are realizing and noticing things like that.
Yeah.
And that's from my own personal experience of following teams. And I'm a huge LA Galaxy fan. I love the Galaxy, but in this offseason, we've had a rough offseason and they haven't said anything. And so then it's like, I know our social media people are deliberately, like the people that are in charge of deliberately making that decision. I follow them on social media. They're great. I love our producing team, but it's like someone's telling them not to post anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, is the team even doing anything then? It's like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? Like, it's interesting. And as someone that's from the inside, obviously, I know the other side of that. But for most fans, because I haven't always done this and you haven't always done this, like, and even talking to my roommates who have almost nothing to do with this industry at all, and they're like business majors, like, it's interesting to see their takes on it to other people's takes. Like, even like this last week, with the Big 12 announcing our schedule for this year, all of the Big 12 teams posted something except for us in Texas. Posted a calendar for the season.
Yeah.
And all my friends were asking me, like, Ryan, why haven't we posted anything yet? Why haven't we posted anything yet? They're like, one of my roommates was like, man, like, our social, like, to get on top of it. And I'm like, well, I guarantee we would have posted something if they're, like, I don't personally know. Like, I have no idea. But it's like there's got to be like someone's made a decision there.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the part of it where it's really interesting. It's just an interesting, I guess that was a pretty big tangent, but we have a lot of power, and that people don't realize that. And it's important to do it correctly and really be careful with how you do it, because you can rile people up. And that's what's interesting with like this next year, going into next year. And what's going to be exciting with your position and what you're going to be doing is that you'll be able to do what I got to do this last year, which is kind of create a narrative. Which is not, and that can be kind of used, like that can have a negative connotation to it, but in the sense of like really getting people excited, because Matt Rule, your girls coach, has done nothing wrong yet. He hasn't lost a game yet. So in all of your fans' eyes, he is going to be the best person on earth, because that's how it was in Oklahoma. Before Venables, we were just like, if we need to post something, just post Venables, and fans went crazy. But he hasn't done anything wrong yet. Like, it's not until you lose your first game, and then it's like, okay, we don't have that card anymore. But leading up to it, it makes content so fun and so, like, I don't say easy, but it's like you can post anything with the coach in it, and they're going to love it, because you're setting up you're building this excitement for the season by posting the new recruits, the new coaches, the new players, the new Nebraska that's going to be coming out next year. And it is really exciting. So you're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something even the coaches, from what I can tell, have, or will want, is to make their own version of Nebraska and tell that through videos or, photos or graphics. Like they, for signing day, they even requested, specific things. Like, I think it's renew is the new sort of,
like you have like a new
tagline. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it makes sense for them to say, hey, we're here now. We have our ideas about what our tenure here is going to look like. Let's put visuals to it and show the people and recruits and donors and all these people that are seeing the brand and what they're doing. So yeah, I think it's cool to have conversations. I haven't haven't gotten to have any yet. But I'm definitely interested to see like what direction they want to take things and how they want to be represented, and what style that can look like. So I'm very, that's definitely what I would say I'm very excited for.
Yeah. Oh, that's super exciting. Well, as we kind of get to the end of this, it's been great talking to you, dude. Is there anything that you want to kind of end this on, or like, do you have any, like, you want to shout your social medias out maybe, or have any final thoughts? Or this is the first time we've done this, so I don't have a formal way of ending these yet. I'll definitely have you on again down the line when we have more exciting things to talk about and things are going on. But in the meantime, maybe you want to give everyone watching a place to find you.
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Twitter, mainly for all the other creatives out there. It's just Ethan, and then my last name, WLDN, Weldon, just a little abbreviation for that. And on Instagram, Ethan that same WLDN. And yeah, I have my email is linked if you guys are any younger creatives looking to learn about what we do. Feel free to send me a DM or email me. I'm always checking that sort of stuff. I just did an interview with a high school, like a company that works with high schools, for a video of, that'll be played in class for teachers and students to watch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Talking about that. So that was something cool I just recently did. So I love doing that sort of stuff. So if you made it this far into the video, you're definitely obviously interested. So
yeah, seriously, shout out to Joe. If you guys watched all the way, if you watched this far, what's a word that someone could comment so that we know you actually watch?
Galaxy.
Unless you, comment Galaxy. Shout out the
Galaxy gang.
Yeah, seriously. No, but it's been great. I appreciate you spending some time. I mean, we're both busy guys, so I appreciate you hopping on here and doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. It's great.
No, I've been excited to do this, and I always get excited to talk about camera stuff with you, and we both
nerd out. Yes, sir.
And like we were saying, Ethan and I have known each other for a minute, and so it's crazy that our careers have kind of taken a pretty what's the word, parallel, incline together. I almost said descent, but that'd be going down.
Yeah, we've both just been
we've done the same thing all the way through and through. So it's pretty cool that we're still here, kind of doing the same stuff. So it's pretty exciting as students to be where we're at. Like I said before, It's all from the perspective of us as students. So, but I am excited. I want to do more episodes. I don't know who my next guest is going to be, but it will be exciting. And hopefully, if you guys watched this, you enjoyed it. And like I said, comment Galaxy Blue if you made it this far. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna have a couple more videos coming out. It's been pretty busy with school and everything, but you know, I'll keep posting stuff as I can. And yeah, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it.